Hello and welcome back to another episode of the Audible. Derek is out again this week. He's giving me all these excuses. I just don't think he wants to podcast with me anymore. Whatever. The point is, Brent, he was here last week. He's a great co-host. He's back this week. And it's going to be a long one. Pack a lunch because we have got a lot to cover on this week's episode. First and foremost, Brent and I are in a league together.
We are.
I'm actually waiting on Matt Ryan to have a great game because initially Carson Wentz was going to start for me, but he is not medically cleared, so I have to rely on Matty Ice. But I think he'll do well. I'm not that worried about it.
I don't think you're going to have a problem at all. Matty Ice, I feel like this is going to be a good year for him. Just kind of the same way with Kyle Shanahan, second year underneath an OC. It's Steve Sarkisian, and I think this is the year he flows and gets underneath the same ideas, and we'll see what happens.
Dude's still on the board. He might end up actually just being my starting quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, it's a very good possibility. I mean, he's got the weapons down there now, especially with Calvin Ridley now on the team too. So
the funniest thing about this first week is I made the mistake of drafting Eagles players, and they all seem to get hurt. So because Jay Ajayi is one of my running backs, and he's out. Carson Wentz out. So we'll see how this first week goes. It's also funny to me, my first game is actually playing against my girlfriend. So might be sleeping on the couch if this doesn't end well.
I'm going to go with you are going to be sleeping on the couch, bud.
Yeah, I feel like I'm going to be on the couch no matter what.
I still need to change my name. I haven't even done anything to that team yet. I'm still Team Pentecost.
My team name is Producers Seducers, and I have the corn dog logo because you can get like whatever like food logos from ESPN. It definitely looks like a penis.
Yeah, it does. It sure does. I don't have anybody going tonight, so that's going to be a damper on my parade there. In our league, at least. Yeah. I'm that ridiculous person in 4 fantasy football leagues this year.
4?
Yeah.
I'm in 2, and that's a nightmare.
Well, the one is our big-time money league. It's 16 people, defensive players. Our trophy is absolutely ludicrous. It's a ton of fun, though. And I love playing in that one just because the strategy of it all, our commissioner does a really good job of making sure that everything is set up. No position is better than the others. He goes through to make sure. We don't have tight ends in that one because there's not 16 tight ends that actually produce every single week. So we just have a flex position. So if you have a great tight end, it's just a good thing for you, you know?
Yeah.
But it's been fun. So
I'm currently in 2 leagues, and the other league I'm in is with Derek. I'm the commissioner of our league that we're in together.
Yeah.
And he's the commissioner of the other league I'm in. And it's a 20-player roster with 2 quarterbacks, 2 flex, and a coach. And I didn't even know you could add a coach.
That's a little odd. I've never heard of the coach thing before, to be honest with you. So
no, it was a crazy league to draft for. There's so many things, and I'm looking forward to it. I will say this: fantasy football rekindled my interest in the NFL. I'm anybody that's probably watched the content on this channel. I'm definitely more into college football, but the fantasy football has definitely got me into the NFL. I really like it, but Sundays are the worst because I'm always on my phone checking and I'm not even playing for money. I'm just doing it for fun.
Yeah, it's a fun thing to do. I mean, honestly, it's, as some people have said, it's Dungeons and Dragons for sports. That's what it is. Oh yeah,
it's absolutely
all it is.
It's super nerdy.
It is, but it's great. I love doing it. It's a ton of fun. I'm in this. I'm in a dynasty version of a fantasy baseball league, and we're starting up a fantasy hockey league also. So.
Oh, dude, I'd totally be into that.
Yeah. The hockey one's fun. The difference is it takes a lot more paying attention to because you have to set your lineups for each day. So you basically go through, you have to try and pay attention to injuries and so on and so forth. And then you just got to set your lineup at the start of the week. Just set it for all 7 days, and hopefully it works out for you. But
yeah, it's the same if you do like basketball because they both play games like every day. So
I did that 1 year. I don't like basketball enough to really pay attention and research.
Yeah, I don't have enough friends,
but I don't like the NBA that much.
That's the thing is I would love to do fantasy basketball, but I don't have enough friends that watch it. Football is the only one where all of my friends watch it, so that's the best option. So enough about Fantasyland football. Let's talk about real football, people. Let's talk about the most controversial story this week. Everybody's talking about it, and it happens to relate to sports. So Colin Kaepernick and Nike, they're together. They're in bed together, and it's the 30th anniversary of the Just Do It campaign. So Nike says, hey, we're going to do it. Let's go big. Let's make Colin Kaepernick the face of this campaign. And in response, you got people burning their shoes, cutting up their socks, destroying all sorts of Nike memorabilia. And before we dive into that, I just want to say to those people that do that, Nike already has your money. So I don't know who you're hurting other than yourself because it's just ridiculous. But I'll open the floor to you, Brent. How do you feel about this whole Kaepernick Nike situation?
It's still the same thing, and I'll say this again numerous times. It's nothing against the military. It's nothing against our flag. It has nothing to do with any of that. This protest is legitimately there for the oppression of minorities in the United States. That's what it is. There's nothing else other than that. And I think it's ridiculous that some of these people think that is disrespectful. Go to a stadium. Check out how many people don't take off their hats for the freaking national anthem. Check out how many people are too worried about guzzling down their corn dog during the national anthem. Like, I don't get it. Also, how many of them are standing up at their house on their couch guzzling beer? Like, they're Captain America, but only when they want to be. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with you. That's the thing that bothers me the most about this is people think that this is the ironic thing of all this. People think that Kaepernick is being the most un-American person with this stuff, when quite frankly, he's being the most American because he's saying, I don't believe this. I don't believe in this system. I don't believe in this approach. And when you start forcing people to sing the national anthem or stand for the national anthem, when you force people to do that, you're mandating patriotism. And that's not what America is about. It's literally the opposite. And I totally agree with you. It's never been about the military. It never was. And people tend to forget that a Navy SEAL suggested to him to kneel. When he was sitting, then someone from the military said, why don't you kneel? It just seems a little less disrespectful.
Exactly. And it is. It totally is less disrespectful. It's not like you're out there in the open and doing this, that. Like, you're not sitting, you're not being disrespectful. He's simply putting himself into a motion to get attention to what he believes needs attention. And that's what's happening. And everybody is freaking out about it and doing all this. And it's just ridiculous. Like, the dude is out of the league, not because he doesn't have the skills. He's out of the league because there are a bunch of owners that apparently are really on board with the paid patriotism that happened in the NFL post 9/11. And one of those being Jerry Jones, who's absolutely, I cannot stand him at all, and it's only gotten worse lately.
Oh, yeah. I 100% agree. Which I'm sure people are upset that we're not disagreeing, and I'm sure we're gonna lose viewers and listeners for this segment. I frankly don't care because it's simply, here's my opinion on it. If you don't believe that's what it's about, that's fine. If you really don't believe that, but you're wrong, because he's never once has Colin Kaepernick ever said anything ill about the military. Never once has he done that. It's like day one, it has been about the mistreatment of minorities by police, and it's still going on, and it's going to continue to go on because people are stupid. People don't get it,
and it's just ridiculous.
I'm sorry if it offends you. It's supposed to offend you. It's supposed to get your attention. But it's too many people aren't smart enough to realize that that's what it's about. When you do a protest, you do some things that might seem extreme to gathers people's attention. Like, why is he doing this? What makes him think that way? And people can pull up Kaepernick's past saying he had a white family or he was adopted, whatever. That may be true, but that doesn't mean that he can't be against the way that people of his skin color are treated.
It doesn't mean that he can't stand up for the minorities of his skin color or anything, and just minorities in general. It's one of those things that you said, if we end up losing viewers or listeners, it's ridiculous, because to me, that all that means to me is that people don't want to listen or actually come to an agreement on things. They just want to force their belief down each other's. Like, I have no problem listening to people talk to me, and you have a good take on it, by all means, let us know on Twitter. Anything. Like, we'll gladfully take it, as long as you're not being disrespectful, as we are not being disrespectful to anybody else either. So,
yeah, I might have said something that people are stupid. I don't think everybody's stupid. I think people that immediately just jump down the idea of not paying attention to what's happening. And I have family members that have served in the military, and I love and respect them, and they don't agree with this and they don't like this. I'm not upset of that, because they fought for that right, and they completely have that right to disagree. I don't have any issues with that.
I was in the military. I was in the Air Force, and I completely agree with what he's doing. That's what you joined the military for. You were part of the United States military, but whatever branch you're in, you're there to preserve these freedoms for people, to be able to protest, to be able to do these things. It's what you're there for. Now, I don't see him doing what he's doing as disrespectful at all.
No, I don't either. That being said, I still stand during the national anthem when I'm.
And I do too. That's a choice that I make. Like,
right.
But I also am a white normal American that isn't getting oppressed. Like, I don't have to worry when I walk out my door if I happen to go up against a cop that is just being a dickhead that day because of my skin color. Like, I don't have to worry about that.
Yeah, you touched it right on the head. That was the next point I was going to make. You notice a lot of people that get upset about this are people that have no idea what he's going through, are generally white people, generally male. So right there, you've gotten two awesome things going for you right there. And they're the ones that get upset about it. So when you don't understand something, you tend to get upset by it. I completely understand that.
Yeah.
And maybe he didn't deal with that oppression, but it doesn't mean that he doesn't want to stand up for those people that did have it. And has he done some questionable things on this stance? Absolutely. Wearing the socks that he wore that had the cops that were pigs, saying he didn't vote in the election. He had some stupid choice things, wearing the
Fidel Castro, or not Fidel Castro, but
Caesar or something.
Yeah.
I can't remember. Wearing that shirt. Yeah, he had stupid things, but again, it was all part of his plan. He's trying to get your attention. He wants you to be mad, so you listen. But people won't listen. People have their ideas made up, and I want to reiterate: if you burn your shoes, or you cut up your socks, or you destroy anything from Nike, you are an absolute 100% moron.
You want to know?
You are the dumbest person on the planet.
Exactly. And what's funny to me, too, is how many of those people did you see out there cutting the labels off of their NFL jerseys or anything else like that? No, it's just random stuff. By all means, most of these people that are like actually mad about this, Nike's going, cool, man. You're not going to buy 2 pairs of our soggy-ass white cross trainers for $40 from Kohl's. Their market is not for that person. They're not the people that are going out and buying a pair of LeBrons, KDs. They're not doing those things. Like, that's not their market they're worried about. Like, what's selling and making them money is not the ridiculous $30, $40 cross trainers that are literally 50-year-old white men decide that they need to wear. Like, it's whatever.
Yeah, their demographic is African-American males, and they know that this is a lightning rod that they want. This is something that black guys are going to get behind.
From a marketing standpoint, it's a great spot for them to be on. And it is what it is.
You could argue it's stupid. There are definitely people that argue that it's stupid, and that's fine. But I think it's a genius marketing thing because everybody's talking about Nike this week.
Oh, good, yeah. Well, and everybody at first was trying to say, like, oh my gosh, the stock market, their stock dropped 3%. It's like, well, yeah, but all of sportswear dropped that day. Like, it's just something that happened. It's back up to normal where it was at. Like, it's not going to hurt them in the long run. It's really not. There's too much out there for them to do it. And what's funny is the people that are out there torching and cutting stuff like, hey, genius, you are literally ruining stuff that you've already paid for.
Yeah, maybe they have your money.
Maybe be a responsible adult, and if you don't want it anymore, donate it to the homeless veterans that you seem to say that you care about.
Yeah, and it's just also funny for me is anybody that follows me on social media, I gotta give credit to people on Twitter and Facebook because the memes that have come out of this are absolutely hilarious. And I've made it a personal mission to just share and retweet and show as many of those as possible. And I've also been someone that's retweeted and shared I'm going to stop using Nike. And it's a guy wearing New Balance shoes. Like, right. It goes back to your point. Who cares? They don't want you because you don't like their product anyway.
Yeah.
And I want to bring it back. I'm one of those people that always hates the politicization. I can't say it.
Politicization.
I can't even fucking say it. Now I'm overthinking it.
The situation.
Yes. in the polarization of sports, I'm very much against that, just as much as the other guy. But our president does it because that's the only battle he knows he can win. He can say, get those guys off the field. They're unpatriotic. And then you've got, his cult followers right there with him. I'm sorry. It's not a presidency anymore. It's a cult leadership. Again, I don't care if I lose all those people. I'm sorry. That's just where we're at.
Yeah, it's where it's at. I think we're kind of beating a dead horse at this point now. A little bit.
You're right. Let's talk about some things that make me happy.
Let's get into the sports side and not the political sports side.
Stick to sports. College football.
Shut up and dribble, Jake. Shut up and dribble.
Oh, God. So college football happened last weekend. It finally happened, and I just kind of, before we get in our predictions for the next week, I kind of want to just have an open discussion about what have we learned from week one? There's also
not a whole lot. It's week one.
No, but if you really want some of my opinions, loud and opinionated, we have a series that I'm doing every Monday. It's called College Football Hangover. I do like a humorous recap of the week for college football. You can get your fix there. But what I've learned, here's some things I've learned. One, even though it was FAU's defense, Oklahoma is really good offensively. Really good. Even their backups were good.
Now, something that I thought was really funny, too, it said, like, there is so much talent on that FAU team, but it's talent that doesn't play well together. There's a reason why they're all transfers in as juniors and higher. Like, that talent on that team is really, really good. And if there's anything that you can say, Lane Kiffin can definitely recruit, but you need to get chemistry and they need to play well together, and they did not in that game at all.
No. They were. Whew. Well, it's even funnier because before that, Lane Kiffin did an interview with Dan Patrick, and Lane Kiffin was not selling that he was confident in his team at all.
And he's probably, honestly, it's one of those things. Like he's in that zone now where he has talent there, but he has to get them to play together. And if you can't, I mean, you could take the most talented team and they don't want to play together as a team. You're never going to win anything. Don't get me wrong, like individual talents are going to get you some wins, but they're not going to win you consistently all the time. And it's ridiculous, but it's going to, like, Lane Kiffin is on his way. He's going to end up with FAU being a decent team in the next couple of years. He's going to be back in a Power 5 conference coaching. And I think at some point he'll be back in the NFL coaching. He's just that prolific of a figure. Like, he's that guy. And I think he got kind of a raw deal at USC. He came in and took over a team that was really down and kind of didn't get a whole lot of a chance to bring it back to what he wanted. So we'll see what happens. I mean, he proved he can do it at Alabama as the OC. So,
yeah. I think another thing I've learned is don't ask Nick Saban about his quarterback situation.
I'll be the first one to tell you this. I think he was personally in the right completely to respond the way he did. Every single time that reporters have asked him about this situation, they're goading him into trying to say that Hurts is not good enough. He wants them, like, don't get me wrong, your job as a reporter is to get what you need out of him. But when he's constantly being asked, well, Tua did really good. Are you ready to say that Jalen Hurts is no longer going to be playing at all? And he's just trying. Like, it's like you're fishing for him to say something bad about one of his quarterbacks. And he doesn't want to. And his reaction, granted, it doesn't come off as very respectful. It comes off kind of harsh. But he just flat out said, I'm not going to say what you want me to say. So if you continue to ask these questions, you're just going to get a reaction like this. And he went off.
I think it was – I never liked Nick Saban. So
I am not a Nick Saban fan either.
No,
so.
Yeah, but I agree. He came off snippy and he was upset, and I get it. I understand that aspect of when you repeat it. I'm the same way. I think any human being is. If you keep getting asked the same question over again, you're going to get upset. You'd be like, I'm not giving you that answer. Do I think – I don't necessarily think her questioning was that of him trying to say something bad about Jalen Hurts. I think she was just trying to get some sort of response out of him, if he was leaning on one guy or the other. I think that's what she was trying to go for. I could see any way, any part of that exchange going any way that it did. But I also think it was the end of the game. He's just trying to celebrate with his team. Probably didn't want to deal with this. So I can understand why he reacted the way he did. He did apologize. He did say to her that he called her later and said that he was sorry that he reacted the way he did. So clearly he's not that grumpy. People think he's that grumpy, but
I think he is that grumpy, and he's just getting himself off a little bit by apologizing. But at the same time, like, I can't say that if I was in the same position that I wouldn't react like that either. He has been nothing but inundated all offseason about who's your quarterback, who are you going to go with, what are you going to do, and like,
but that's the pressure of being that coach, though.
Agreed. But here's the thing: it's hard for him to make the choice because with Tua, like, the national championship game is a perfect example. The second to last play of that game, he literally spins out, almost gets sacked, and then runs right back into the same guy that fell and goes down for a 16-yard loss.
And then throws a touchdown pass.
And then comes back in the next play and throws a touchdown pass. Like, one thing that Saban will always say, and it's something that he's always pushed, is he wants zero mistakes on the field. He wants no turnovers. Jalen Hurts has thrown like 3 interceptions his entire Alabama career. Like, it's a safe bet. And most of the time with a Saban team, if you don't turn the ball over, you're probably still going to win. Like,
yeah, your defense is so good. If your offense is serviceable, you're fine.
He has no problem winning games 9-6 because guess what? It's a win. He doesn't care if he puts up 45 points. If he puts up 9 points and it's a win, he's happy. It is what it is. But that's where he's sitting now. He's like, I've got a guy that is going to take risks that I don't really associate with being good football plays. And Jalen Hurts doesn't do that. So it's an interesting conundrum that he's going to have for the entire season because that offense looks really, really good with Tua. That offense looks good with Jalen Hurts, but they don't have the over-the-top, blow-the-top-off mentality that they have with Tua. So,
yeah. So another thing I've learned Again, I talked about this on College Football Hangover. Texas isn't back yet.
They just lost to a team that doesn't even have a coach right now. Like that's insane.
Yeah, and they're in midst of big controversy, and they don't have a coach, and they lose. And they had moments where Texas looked really good. They reeled off 22 unanswered points at one point, but they did not look good, especially when they came back out of the weather delay. Like, this is my, and I said this earlier too. It's like, this is the problem that we run into because we get so excited about the season. We see so much about the season. We get so hyped up that we start using such hyperbole that you look really dumb after the first game. Everybody had been hyping up Tom Herman and hyping up this team, saying they were back. They were back. I never once saw that team last year and said, you know what? They're going to be on track next year. Do they have talented players? Of course they do. It's Texas. It's a big program. They're going to get talented players, especially, and they're in the state of Texas. But to just automatically just think, well, this is the year it's going to click. Yes, it happens with guys like Urban Meyer and Nick Saban, but there's a reason why they're Urban Meyer and Nick Saban. They're the outliers, okay? They're not the general theme.
Yeah, I fully agree. And it's one of those things now where you're just like, I don't understand sometimes why everybody thinks that, oh yeah, Texas is back. Herman's here. We've got it. And it's just not there. You've got to give that dude a little bit of time to bring people in because his system is entirely different than what Charlie Strong's was. And let's be honest, Charlie Strong did not recruit very well for being at Texas. Like, he didn't even recruit the state of Texas that well. A&M and Tech and everybody else is getting guys, and Oklahoma's taking friggin' guys also at the same time. So
yeah,
we'll see.
And it's not you're competing against, like you said, you're competing against TCU, you're competing against Oklahoma, West Virginia, you're competing against these teams for legitimate recruits. So it's not going to be easy. And I think Herman's going to be there long term? I think so. I think Herman's a good coach. But we got to stop jumping to conclusions. That's why when I tell Husker fans, Scott Frost, it's like, this guy is not going to win you a national title in your first year. He might not win it in his first 5 years. You need to relax. He's in a situation where he has to compete every year with Wisconsin and Iowa, and then in some cases Michigan State, Ohio State, Penn State. Like, it's the Big Ten's a hard conference. And I think people need to just, especially with college football, need to temper their expectations. That's something I always say. Let's not overthink the situation and realize, okay, they look good in practice, but it's practice. They look good in the spring game, but it's a glorified scrimmage. They looked great against Buckwheat State, but that's not real competition.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I think overall those are the main things I've learned this past week. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things where, like, the first week it really shows you things. I mean, look back, what was it, 3 years ago or so, and Texas just put it to Notre Dame. Everybody's like, oh man, Texas is back. They're back. Like, they're here. So at the time everybody thought that, but then it comes down like Notre Dame was 4-8 on the season. They weren't even very good. Like,
no.
I get it totally with some of these people that are like, oh well, let's see what happens. Our teams are going to be good. Let's see the first game. Wait till the third week and then make your judgments on if that team is going to be good or bad. Like, you can look good in a week, and then the next week the next couple of weeks you're going to be terrible. So we'll see.
Well, and Texas, the season's not over. It's only one game. There's a lot of football to be played. So also if you're a Texas fan, don't think the sky is falling and the season's over. You bringing up Notre Dame reminds me, I have to make a formal apology to the University of Notre Dame, the Fighting Irish out there. I apologize. I said you guys you didn't stand a chance against Michigan. I thought you were overrated, and I thought you'd get slaughtered. I believe I said mass murdered. I was wrong. Very wrong. Congratulations to the Fighting Irish. You beat up, for the most part, you beat up on Michigan. They did come back towards the end, but
the old
very
Fighting
wrong.
Jim Harbaughs did not do too well.
Ooh, that is not looking good in Ann Arbor for Jim Harbaugh.
99 in his last 18 games.
Yeah.
Has not beaten a ranked opponent, I think, in the last 2 years.
Brady Hoke was 27-13. He's 28-18, or 28-12 right now.
Yeah.
So not good for Harbaugh, but again, there's a lot of football to be played. There's a whole season left. We'll see what happens. So now it's time for anybody who's not from the state of Nebraska or Iowa to just skip this section. But you know what? That's why we clip these out. That's why this show's clipped out, so you don't have to watch this part. This is the Homer section. And I got to say, I'm still pretty pissed off at Mother Nature.
I mean, you can be pissed off about them. It's what happened. It is what it is. I'm popping another beer.
Nebraska and Iowa State didn't get to play this weekend because of the storms. And, pretty pissed about it.
It is what it is. We're going to have more of this.
We got the worst. We've been waiting since December for this. December.
It has.
It's been longer than that, Brent. It was from Black Friday last year where Iowa kicked Nebraska's teeth in. We've been waiting for this, and we get nothing. Nothing.
This is what we have been having to wait for. I get it. Yeah, it's not awesome. It sucks, to be honest with you, to not be able to play that game. But let's let bygones be bygones on that, and realize also that it didn't matter. Let's not be the Nebraska fans that are pissed off at Akron for not staying here to play the game on Sunday.
No, I actually like this better, to be quite honest with you. I think it's better for both schools. I mean, how fitting is it that Scott Frost's first game is against an old rival that he used to play in Colorado? I think it's perfect. It's a storybook kind of thing. I'm very excited. I always liked the Colorado rivalry, and I think Nebraska needs to do more of this. I mean, they're doing it with Oklahoma and a couple after this series with Colorado. I believe they're doing it with Oklahoma, and I think Nebraska should do this more often. I think they should schedule old Big 12 foes as a non-conference game every year. I think it's fun.
I think you're going to see that much more often now, yes. Like they're going to pull in some of these teams from the Big 12 to play, your home and homes. And they're doing like every other team is. Everybody kind of gives like these like people crap. Like everybody's talking about how Auburn started the season out against Washington. It's like, yeah, but you also made Washington come to what was it, Atlanta? Like, hey,
yeah, it was Atlanta. It was essentially a home.
We're gonna play a glorified home game, but it's at a neutral site technically. Like, okay, cool. How many people from Washington made that trip, do you think? Like, come on.
Well, yeah, and it's also that's something I don't. That's the thing that bothers me about these neutral site games is like Louisville and Alabama makes a little bit more sense because it's Louisville's in Kentucky, so it's not that far of a drive to Orlando, or not that far of a travel. But like the Miami LSU game, there's fans from Louisiana and Miami going to Texas to watch a football game.
Right.
I don't understand that, but no, I'm glad that they're doing these home and home series. I hope it continues. I'd love to see, the rumors floating around that it would be like Iowa State, like pretty much anybody Nebraska played in the Big 12 North, they would go through playing again. I would be all for it.
I think the worst part about the Iowa State idea is it's great if you can keep the head coach there. If the head coach is gone, then you run into issues because Iowa State, without that head coach, is not a good team. Like they don't bring the recruiting, and
I don't think Matt Campbell's leaving. I think Matt Campbell's going to stay there.
You say this, but he's going to be a hot commodity here soon if he keeps this up down at Iowa State.
Yeah, but I could see it this way. I could see if he does leave, I think they could get somebody maybe from, his staff maybe or something. You know what I mean? Like I can see them trying to stay within there because 2 years ago when they hired him from Toledo, I said this was a great hire. I thought he was a great choice. I thought he was a smart young coach, and sure enough, his second year of a coach, or I guess it'd be 3 years. His second year coaching, they have a really good season and they win a bowl game against a pretty good Memphis team.
Oh yeah,
but yeah, so we'll break down a little bit more of the Cyhawk game when we get to that. But yeah, I'm bummed like everybody, but it's exciting to see them play against rivals to start their season. I think that's fun. A lot of Iowa fans are pissed because those Iowa State players that were suspended, they do get to play.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, they did technically sit out one game, didn't get played, but they were there.
They kind of served their punishment. So, I mean, hey, man, it happens.
I mean, everybody else had to serve said punishment too, but, whatever.
I was close to going to that game, but then I was like, I don't want to go to Iowa City. Because knowing my luck, as much as I've talked shit on Iowa and Iowa City, knowing my luck, I'd find the one person that actually listens to this podcast and he'd try to fight me or something. He'd try to kick my ass. And I'm wearing Iowa State gear because I'm not going to root for the Hawkeyes. Are you kidding me?
Hell no, man.
It would just end horribly for everybody.
It'd be fine. You'd be fine. Iowa City, they're just drunk. They'll fall over and hit each other.
You tell that to my girlfriend. She got egged the last time she went to Iowa City.
Well, they're also assholes. I'm surprised they hit her. They have terrible aim.
Look, folks, we know.
Does Kirk Ferentz even know how to throw the ball? Oh, wait. Yes, he does. Noah Fant had fucking 2 touchdowns. Yeah. Shit. That just backfired.
Yes, we know. There are good Iowa fans out there. I'm sure there are. Have I met them? Yes. I promise you.
Just like there's a bunch of terrible Husker fans out there.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. You're listening to 2 of them. So week 2 predictions for this week. Let's do it. Brett, I want you to start. Clemson travels to College Station. Game day is going to be there. Jimbo Fisher faces an old foe. Clemson taking on the Texas A&M Aggies. Who you got? How's it shake out?
Clemson in a landslide. I know They have Jimbo Fisher, but they do not have the talent on campus yet to compete with what Dabo Swinney's going to bring.
If you read my article on loudopinionated.com, I wrote this, and it's totally with Brent's segment. Even Jimbo Fisher can't save Texas A&M. Clemson wins easily.
He might save it within time, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, he's not a bad coach. I'm just saying.
No.
I never believe in A&M. It's much like, what's funny? We talked trash on Mark Richt, and Mark Richt did the most Mark Richt thing.
I told you it was going to happen.
Yeah, I
called it.
By LSU. You did call it. You did.
I didn't call it to be as much of an ass whipping as it was, but I called it.
Yeah, neither of us were on brand there. I was like, I thought it'd be a good defensive game. Well, I was wrong. Good defense on one side of the ball. Actually, Miami did score 17 points, so I was kind of right.
Yeah.
Colorado taking on Nebraska. We talked about this. This one's interesting. I will take the lead here. I think that this will be a good football game. I think Colorado showed a lot against Colorado State. They won that game easily, 45-13. There's a lot of weapons in that Colorado offense. I have nothing to go from with Nebraska because I didn't play, but it'll be interesting to see these 2 offenses clashing. I don't know. I don't want to sound like a homer and take Nebraska in this game, but I think Nebraska wins in a close one, very close game.
I also believe that I'm going to take the homer approach, and I think Nebraska takes a close one also. I think that even with not having a game played last week, that the energy of that stadium and how everything's been going, it's going to be electric in there again, and I think that that's going to help them an absolute ton. They're going to be able to feed off that. I think that's going to help create issues for the Colorado offense They're not going to be used to playing in something like that. Like, you can't find that outside of Washington in the Pac-12. You don't see stadiums go crazy like that. So we'll see. I think it's going to be a close one.
The energy game was nuts, but are you going with the Huskers?
Friends that were there.
Too?
They said it's I think the Huskers win a close one. I'm going to I think it'll be like a 35-28 game. I don't know. Maybe but I think it's going to be a very close game, but there's going to be some offense in this game because I don't think either has a defense that's really going to be able to stop.
Yeah, especially for Nebraska because it's essentially their first game, so they got to get all the first game mistakes out of the way in this one.
Agreed.
So the Chip Kelly Bruins, who lost 26-17 to Cincinnati this past weekend, they'll be traveling to Norman, Oklahoma, and I feel like running into a buzzsaw the way that Oklahoma was playing against FAU. Who you got? How's it shake out?
Oklahoma by a lot. UCLA is going to be struggling for the next couple years, I believe. Even with Chip Kelly there, it's going to be a rough go for them. They're in California competing against a resurgent USC team, and man, I'm just saying Jim Moore did not leave them very well off. So
no. And Chip Kelly is running a totally different program than Jim Moore was.
Agreed.
So
it's gonna be rough.
I would absolutely agree. I think Oklahoma is in a really good spot. I think they got lucky. Well, I wouldn't say it's luck. I think Bob Stoops was very wise in picking Lincoln Riley as his successor.
I also believe so, yeah.
I think Lincoln Riley is going to be there a long time, and I think Oklahoma is going to be a force to be reckoned with in the Big 12 for a very long time. They win easily as well. So Georgia, after beating up on Austin Peay, you're going to travel to South Carolina to take on the newly ranked Gamecocks. Who you got? Well, no, it's my turn. I'll go first.
It's your turn there, bud.
I think Georgia wins this one by 10 points. I don't want to say they blow them out, but I also don't want to say that South Carolina keeps it very close. I think a 10-point victory for Georgia. I think Georgia picks up where they left off last season, even without Sony Michel or Nick Chubb. Jake Fromm, I think, is still going to keep that offense moving. And I think at the end of the day, before the season started, I said they were going to Alabama for the SEC title and then probably again in the playoff.
I kind of agree with you on that. I think this is going to be a close game, but I also think that South Carolina has a very good shot of upsetting Georgia in this game. Low-key, South Carolina has been getting better and better each year, and they're in a weak SEC East right now. So this could be a huge game for them, and I think maybe Georgia looks down on them, and I think this is going to be my upset of the week. I think South Carolina stuns Georgia, and it doesn't matter at the end of the day because Georgia will roll through the rest of the conference and still make it into the playoffs somehow.
Yeah, that's interesting. That's an interesting choice. All right, so now we're moving along to the Cy-Hawk game in Iowa City. Iowa's coming off a 33-7 win over Northern Illinois, a good Northern Illinois team, beat Nebraska last year. As we said, Iowa State, they scored a touchdown against South Dakota State before the game was canceled. This game's always, for the most part, is pretty fun. It was one of the better games of last season. Who you got?
I am going to take Iowa State. I believe that they will actually come out and kind of take it to Iowa. I wasn't really super impressed with Iowa's offensive line in their game against Northern Illinois. Usually you see Iowa come out against a team like that, and they kind of push them around, and they didn't at all. They really didn't.
I think it was like 3-0 at halftime.
It wasn't much, to be completely honest, and they really didn't do a whole lot with it. I mean, it was at one point I looked going in late, I believe fourth quarter, it was 27-3 or 24-3, something like that, and it wasn't as much of a game as I honestly expected. I thought that Iowa, building off of last year, would come out and kind of throttle a Northern Illinois team, and they didn't. I'm be honest with you. I was shocked that they did not actually pull off any and maybe they weren't showing a whole lot. I mean, Kirk Ferentz is very known for that. And yeah, you're right. It was 3-0 at halftime. That means that the offense was not so.
Iowa Western Sargent got a touchdown.
Did he get a touch? Did he a receiving touchdown? Possibly. I didn't see him carry one.
He was running the ball.
He didn't get one on the running side. He had 12 rushes for 40 yards. Look at the stats right now. I was actually just going to bring that up.
I saw that he scored.
He might have got one on passing. Nope, didn't do it there either. Other weird thing, I didn't see anything from Nick Easley, another former Iowa Western alum who's a senior this year for the Iowa Hawkeyes.
So, do you have a prediction points-wise? Do you know how much they're going to win by? Or?
I'm going to go with a 33-12 game. I don't think Iowa's going to actually hang in this game. I think Iowa State's taking it.
Wow, that's impressive. I didn't expect you to think the Cyclones are going to beat them down.
Just looking at how Iowa played against Northern Illinois, I know that they're a decent team, but they had one rusher that technically you take away his 140-yard rush, and none of their rushers had over 3 yards or over 4 yards of carry. So I can't think that they're going to be that great. I mean, you went up against a Northern Illinois team and you couldn't push them off the ball to get 5 yards a carry. Like, as a whole, they had a 4.4 yards per carry average. No big plays there. Their starter, Nate Stanley, went 11 of 23. I mean, not even 50% passing against Northern Illinois is not that good. You should be able to outclass them.
They're a good team.
They're good, yes, but they're not like that good, man. Like,
they're a good MAC team.
Yeah, that's great. Did they play for a MAC championship last year? No? Okay.
I don't think so.
No. Akron.
They could have. I don't know.
Actually. No, Akron beat them out in their side. So I'm just being kind of a dick on that. But no, it's looking at what happened, maybe they changed it up. Maybe Ferentz just decided, hey, we're gonna go real vanilla, I guess, but vanilla for him should be blowing the defensive line off the ball and moving it. As we've said before. Run the ball. Like,
I think that I have no choice, and I have to pick Iowa State.
You might end up in a casket if you don't.
Yeah, that doesn't matter. I would have picked them anyway. I think that last year, I think we learned a lot about this Iowa State team. This is a team that surprised everyone and beat Oklahoma, and beat them in a shootout. They outscored them. It wasn't, you saw the next week they beat TCU, so it wasn't necessarily a fluke.
No.
And I agree. I think Matt Campbell's got the right group of kids. I think he's got the right system. I think it's going to be closer than what you predicted. I could imagine Iowa State winning this one because it's such a close game last year. I could even see him maybe going to overtime, but I think Iowa State wins by like a field goal, I would say. A very, very close game, and Cyclones take it. All right, so moving along, here's a interesting Big Ten Pac-12 matchup that I'm a big fan of, I'd like to say. Michigan State taking on Arizona State. Both teams. Michigan State had almost a shocking upset last Friday night.
Utah State
stunned them almost. It was like a Penn State situation with App State. But they pull it out. Arizona State did pretty well in their game. I can't remember who they played. UTSA.
Yeah, they weren't very good. Utah or Texas San Antonio.
Yeah, they're bad. But Herm Edwards, this is his first real test. It's in Tempe. It'll be interesting. I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I think Michigan State still wins. And I think you're going to see it. It's hard to say where Arizona State is at because, yes, they beat UTSA, but UTSA isn't very good. Yes, they went to a bowl game last year, but I think that Michigan State wins, I would say, by 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, I would fully agree with you on that. I think it's at least 2 touchdowns. At least. It's Arizona State's still struggling to even find a quarterback. Manny Wilkins is doing a decent job for him right now. I guarantee you Michigan State's coming off this pissed off about kind of a real soft showing against a Utah State team that usually is pretty decent every year. They've had some ups and downs the past 3-4 years. But, I mean, Arizona State literally came to Iowa Western and plucked one of our quarterbacks before spring training started, spring practices started, because they are that, like, there's no depth down there at quarterback. Outside of Wilkins, they're kind of really it's really light. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens. But I agree. I think it's going to be a 3 touchdown game. Arizona State loses by 21 at least.
Yeah. It's. I mean, I agree. I think Michigan State will be very focused. So this will be a fun one. Adding to the rivalry, we saw this last year. Penn State takes on Pitt. I think we have a similar situation with Penn State, like we saw with Michigan State. Who you got? How's it shake out?
Penn State crushes them because I think that Pitt is actually worse than Appalachian State is. I'm a Pittsburgh guy, and I kind of fall. I mean, obviously, I'm a Nebraska fan, but like, as you know, and maybe everybody else will start to know it if I'm on this podcast. Pittsburgh is kind of life for me. Pittsburgh sports, especially pro sports. But Pittsburgh, Penn State players were asked, in the last week about, what do you guys think of, the rivalry? And they're like, what are you talking about? It's not a rivalry. We're going to go in and spank them. That's what we do every single week. So it's fine. Every single year now. Like it's what it was. Like this used to be a rivalry, but it's not anymore. Look at it as the same thing as a Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Oklahoma coming up to Nebraska. And like, look, where's Nebraska been the last 5-10 years? Like, oh, did you compete at times? Yeah. Did you have some good players? Yeah, you did. But you're not good right now. You prove it to us, And Pittsburgh has to do that. Their coaching, their players, they haven't been good. They lose out on a coach. I'm losing my mind right now. He's coaching at Wisconsin now. Ever since he left.
Narduzzi leave?
No, Narduzzi's still there. He's the one who's there now, but it's Wisconsin's coach. Was
it Chris?
Yeah, Chris. That's where he was at prior. And when he left, Narduzzi came in, and he hasn't done a real great job yet. I'll be honest. It's not been great. So no. I think that, especially with how much that Penn State's probably going to want to show out a little bit, they're gonna come in and crush Pitt.
Get ready, folks. It is the upset of the week. Pitt has found ways to do this the last 2 seasons where they've been completely outmatched and they've won games. They beat Clemson 2 years ago. They beat Miami a year ago. It's happening again. Penn State got exposed by Appalachian State. Pitt wins this on a last-second field goal. And, I'm just making this pick for the laugh.
Absolutely not going to happen. Do I think Pitt will upset somebody?
It.
That's fine. No, that's fine. You take it. But I do think that Pitt will upset somebody, but it will be in the ACC, not in the non-conference.
And then Penn State rebounds and still wins the East. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
They probably
last pick always goes to my alma mater, your soon-to-be alma mater, Iowa Western. They are taking on the number 11 ranked Hutchinson. What am I talking about? Pentecost, not Penn State, Pentecost. How do you feel about this one? Since you're so close to the team, how do you feel about it?
I think that the team is starting to sort of come together. They are still ranked number 2 in the nation. They came off a 26-20 win over Iowa Central, who has definitely been rejuvenated underneath Coach Montalto now, coming over from Ellsworth to Iowa Central. They need to get better on offense and fast. The game on last Saturday, Iowa Central held the ball for over 40 minutes in a 60-minute game.
Oh, goodness.
The defense was just gassed, absolutely gassed. They blew a 26-6 lead and let Iowa Central come back. They got the ball at the minute 58 left, 26-20, and they ended up forcing a 4-and-out technically. But a lot of the players, it was a stupid, humid day. We luckily got our game in before the crazy weather that kind of killed Iowa State, Nebraska's games in this area. But they're going into a game against Hutch, who is last year's game was quite the barn burner here in Iowa at Iowa Western at Titan Field in Council Bluffs. Hutchinson lost on a false start penalty with the ball at the 3 with 7 seconds left. They had a false start, which they had no timeouts, and it requires a runoff of 10 seconds of the clock.
Runoff.
So They lost the game because they did not execute properly. They do what they do every year. They're a team that likes to pound the ball. So if you were a Nebraska fan and you watched Hutch, you'd be like, yeah, man, they run the ball because that's all that they do. They pound it. Now, this year's kind of the same. I honestly think that that Iowa Western's going to go in and they're going to kind of do the same. They're going to try and run the ball, and I think the offense is going to pick the defense up after having the defense, save them last week. So I think that my prediction today that I made at school with us at the Iowa Western staff that travels and, covers the games, I think it's going to be 42-19 Iowa Western.
Wow. Well, I'm obviously going to pick the Reavers. They're my alma mater. So. I'm going to pick them, obviously. So, yeah, I have them winning. All right, so now it's time to shift gears, and we're going to go and talk about the NFL. We didn't talk as much last week. We were just wrapping up preseason. But now is the time to talk about the football season. It's finally here. Close as we're recording. We're not going to make a pick for that because we are recording on a Thursday. But before we get to the picks in the NFL, so let's have a talk.
NFL Network, and it looks like rain at the old Lincoln Financial Field in Philadelphia today.
All right, everybody's playing in a dome from now on.
Yeah,
or at least a retractable roof.
Retractable roofs.
So before we get to these picks, let's talk about Le'Veon Bell.
Yeah.
Le'Veon Bell. So now his offensive linemen are going after him on Twitter. He still hasn't reported to the team, holding out. Brent, you're in the front office of the Pittsburgh Steelers. What do you do?
It's rough at this point. I think the thing that kind of gets to me, not from a front office standpoint, but from a standpoint as a teammate, it's honestly bullshit that he did not tell his teammates what his plans were at all. Like, his teammates, his offensive line, I think Ramon Foster flat out said it earlier this week when he decided not to report. You're literally going to sit out half the season, report, and still make more than I do this year.
Right.
Suck it the fuck up.
Oh, yeah.
We're making $14.5 million this year. Like, we get it. You didn't get your contract. Obviously you want to get signed to a bigger contract. But tell your offensive line, tell your teammates that you're not going to show up. Who cares? If that's your intention, then that's your intention. Don't show up. Don't lead the team. Don't lead your teammates on to believe that you're going to be there. That's what they all thought. He told teammates that he was going to be there September 1st, Labor Day. He was going to be there to work out. Well, guess what? Pittsburgh has to try and figure out something else to do. Granted, it's good that they have a James Conner, but I think it's a shitty thing to do to your teammates. But I understand from a money standpoint.
Well, how much of it do you think it's him? How much do you think of it's a little bit of his agent? I think a lot of it's him, but do you think a lot of it's also his
your agent can tell you whatever you want, but you're the one making the decision. If your decision is that you don't want to play, and as of right now, the only thing that I can think of is he won't play until week 10. He wants to preserve his body to where yada, yada, yada. Well, guess what? Had you given us the intention you want to preserve your body, you don't want to play that much, by all means, man, come in and play. James Conner can take half the snaps. Let it happen. At this point, I'd rather almost have James Conner on the field. I think maybe these mind games, the issues that Pittsburgh's been having the last 4 or 5 years, maybe Le'Veon Bell's the problem.
Yeah, I think as someone, not, just a football fan and not a Steelers fan, I think from the outside, it doesn't make sense. It always seems to happen to this team. They have so much talent. I mean, there's no excuse why the Steelers shouldn't be the New England Patriots.
Right.
There's no excuse why they shouldn't be in multiple Super Bowls. I mean, yes, they have been, but I mean, under Mike Tomlin, they should be in multiple Super Bowls. They have so much talent offensively.
In 2 under Mike Tomlin, but they haven't been to a Super Bowl in 8 years. They haven't even,
and they shouldn't be. Should be.
They've only made the AFC Championship game 1 time in the past 8 years. Like,
and that's what I'm saying.
That's insane. Like, they don't win in the playoffs. It's just like they like self-implode. This past year, losing Ryan Shazier was a huge thing, but also
that destroyed that defense. But the defense was not the same.
It wasn't, but you have to find a way to beat a Jaguars team. You cannot let Blake Bortles beat you. And Blake Bortles beat him. It wasn't Leonard Fournette. It was Blake Bortles.
No, and that's the thing. Blake Bortles in that offense put up 45 points. That's unheard of. In a playoff game at home, that's ridiculous.
You have nobody to blame but the defense on that loss. Like, that defense was the cause of that. Now,
and I think I agree. A guy like Le'Veon Bell does not help this team, and I don't get it. I don't understand how a team that's constantly as talented. You've got Big Ben, then you go out and you get Mason Rudolph, so you're prepared for the future. You've got Antonio Brown,
and then Josh Dobbs ends up winning the backup quarterback position. Which is
have guys like you have a good tight end in Jesse James.
We have 2 good tight ends.
And you got Juju Smith-Schuster, so much talent, and there's just this one guy that's just really messing with your locker room. And I think at some point, you got to get rid of him. You have to get rid of him. Hopefully, you can get a good deal with him. But
they're not going. I mean, he's going to sit, and Pittsburgh's going to probably.
He's already got the tag.
Yeah, it's a tag. It is what it is. At this point, though, there's not a team that you can really trade him to get anything back worthwhile, because they know that we also have a shot to sign him in free agency next year. Also, you got to find somebody that has $14.5 million worth of cap space, because the franchise tag, there's no signing bonus. It all goes right to the cap. So you have to literally find somebody that's like, well, we'll give you this, and hope that it gives them enough that has $14.5 million worth of cap space. He's going to be a Pittsburgh Steelers for the rest of the year. He's probably going to play 6 games. So, is what it is.
Bring him here. Bring him to Tampa. Bring him to the Bucks. We'll gladly take him.
I'm sure you would. I'm sure you would.
But so you think it's going to be late in the season? You think it's going to be week 10?
Week 10 is the latest that he can report and still get paid for the year.
So
now, paid for the year means he's not going to get all of his money. I mean, they can literally fine him for not being at camp. He can fine him for not being at work, basically. They have to try and find a way. The thing that sucks, though, is if this dude decides to sit there for 10 weeks, they've got to find a way to put him. Like, you can't just put him on the physically unable to perform. Like, you got to figure out where to put.
You can't put him on IR.
Do we have a spot for him on the did not show up because he's an asshole move, or like what do we have? Like, it's dumb. It's a bad move. Also realized that he was gonna get his money and he just didn't get enough guaranteed. And I get it, you wanted guaranteed money, but $15 million a year, and quite a bit guaranteed. I'm surprised he didn't take it, but you know what's gonna happen? Next year, he's signing a 5-year deal for $20 million a year, at least annual average value. So we'll see. Well, maybe this brings his cost down. Maybe he stays with Pittsburgh because he's a dickhead.
Maybe he just wanted to get paid. So, Le'Veon, get your act together. Sincerely, the Audible. All right, so let's get into the chunkiest part of the NFL section. We're not going to do the Thursday night game. As I said before, we're recording on Thursday, so we can't make a proper pick on it.
Also, real quick, it's actually in a delay. So,
I guess maybe we
delays.
could. The delays. Mother Nature, man. That tropical storm is just messing up everybody.
I just got the notification that Eagles-Falcons is in a delay. So, yep.
Maybe they'll play tomorrow.
Maybe.
All right, so let's go down the list. It is the week 1 predictions. We're doing 15 of the 16 matchups. Well, screw it. We might have enough time. We might be able, because of the delay, we might have enough time to pick the Thursday game.
Why don't we just pick it now real quick?
I think we both can agree on this. I think it's the Falcons on this one.
I think the Falcons win a game 2017. I think this is the second year with Matt Ryan and Steve Sarkisian, and if it's anything like his past, he gets a OC for 2 years. He kind of develops a chemistry with them, and he understands what they want, how they do things, and I think that is going to be a key for the Falcons this year.
And the Eagles are also dinged up, so
very dinged up.
So yeah, we're gonna go there. So first up on the list, like I said, we'll do what we did with college. We'll alternate. First pick, I'm gonna give it to you. Bills at the Ravens.
This is gonna be a bloodbath, I believe. The Bills have basically said, we don't care about this year. We're building for the future, even though we made the playoffs last year, everybody. The Ravens are going to come out, apparently, from what I understand and what I've read, Joe Flacco has had a fire lit up underneath of him with the signing and drafting of Lamar Jackson. I think that, hot take, I think Joe Flacco throws for a career high in passing yards this year and passing touchdowns. And he'll probably get 403 of those touchdowns this week.
Yeah, no surprise. Ravens are going to take this one easily. So moving down the list, this one hurts. The Buccaneers will be going to New Orleans to take on the Saints. I think the Saints are a very good football team, and I think they are legitimate. They're a team to be reckoned with in the NFC South. Tampa Bay is, to be frank, kind of a mess right now. And, the Saints take this one.
So is Jameis going to be eating any W's this week or is off, at home? Or?
Well, I think he's trying to be – I don't know. He's going to be watching on his couch, I think. I don't even think he's allowed to travel.
No, he's not. And that's why it was kind of a joke. Maybe they keep him away from the Uber drivers this time.
Yeah. Eat some W cereal.
I agree with you. I think that the Saints are a very talented team again this year. And I think even with the Buccaneers defense being pretty decent and you having your sweet little memento.
Alas, poor Jameis.
Poor. I don't think you can say poor Jameis. It's not a poor Jameis thing anymore.
No, I wrote an article in the offseason.
Jameis.
I wrote an article in the offseason that he should be fired. So I have no sympathy for him.
Oh, no, I hear you. Let's get into the third game. Bengals versus Colts. Andrew Luck coming off of a lacerated kidney.
Ugh.
Sat out all last year due to the injury, is back and playing. And he will suit up and be the quarterback for the coaches again. So, I think the Colts end up taking this. The Bengals don't really have a whole lot of awesomeness going on. I mean, they basically fired, or Marvin Lewis stepped down, and then they brought him back in as the coach. So I think that it's going to be probably a 10-point win for the Colts.
Yeah, I have Colts taking this well. I think he had a pretty good preseason. I think Andrew Luck is back, and I think if they can somehow I think they have a serviceable season. I don't necessarily want to say they're going to be, world beaters and playoff contenders, but I think they'll be competitive in the AFC South for sure. Moving along, we got the Niners taking on the Vikings. Now get ready. This is my upset of the week. I think Jimmy G and the Niners upset Minnesota on the road. I got the 49ers winning this one.
I don't know what you've been smoking that's going to make you think that Jimmy G is going to be able to do that.
Jimmy G is 5-0 as a 49er.
That's fine. But the Vikings are going to end up winning this game, especially with the West Coast coming to the Central Time Zone. So, sorry, buddy. I can't roll with you on that one.
It's the upset of the week, baby.
Hey, you got to take one at some point, right? All right, let's roll into the next one. You've got the AFC South versus the NFC East. Jacksonville Jaguars versus the New York Football Giants.
You mean the AFC East?
The Giants are in the NFC East, man.
Oh, sorry. I was looking ahead. Sorry.
What are you talking about?
I was looking at the Titans.
I completely skipped a game. That's how irrelevant the Titans and the Dolphins are in my eyes. Whoops. So I'm just going to go with this, and Jaguars versus Giants.
We'll go back to that. We'll come back to that.
We'll come back to the Titans and Dolphins.
I think this one will be fun.
I think it's going to be a good game. What worries me for the Giants, the defensive side, Olivier Vernon is actually hurt. Has a high ankle sprain. The only thing I've heard so far from the team is that he is a very fast healer. I don't know that is really what you want to hear about your best defensive player. I think the Jaguars take a game. I think they win this by 17. I don't think the Giants really have a whole lot going for them outside of maybe the Eli Manning tossing up ducks and Odell Beckham Jr. coming down with them. So, how about you?
I think this will be a very offensive game. I hope the Giants do well offensively. I got OBJ on my fantasy team. So I do think that the Jags are going to win this one, but I think it's going to be a really high-scoring but close game. I think the Jags win. Moving on to the game. Oh, did you already make your pick?
No, I already did. Yeah, I already made the pick. I said Jaguars by 17. Okay.
So, wow. So moving on to the game that you skipped, the Titans taking on the Dolphins. I mean, there's not much to say about this. I think the Titans are going to surprise some people and win this one.
I think the Titans are going to really surprise people. I have the
Titans. Titans? All right. Look at that. Titans across the board. All right, this one's for you, buddy. This is your team.
Yes, it is. Let's look at this. The Steelers versus the Browns. I think this will be a closer game than predicted. I don't think Pittsburgh's defense is nearly as good as what some will think. I'm going to go with a 35-27 win for Pittsburgh. I know that Pittsburgh has been playing with Ramsey coming up, or not Ramsey, Terrell Edmonds coming up and playing more of a peso-type linebacker / safety position, trying to get him into the same realm of sort of what a Ryan Shazier was. He kind of is an undersized linebacker at the safety position anyways, and he excelled so far this year in the preseason doing that. He is expected to get the start on Sunday, so I'm having high hopes, but I don't think the defense is going to be very good this year. I think Pittsburgh needs to score at least 27 points a game to even think about winning. So, what about you there, Jake?
Yeah, I think the Steelers win this one. I think there's a lot of growing up to do for the Browns, but I think they did look relatively good in the preseason. Particularly Baker Mayfield, he actually looked pretty good in the preseason. But looking good in the preseason doesn't always mean you look good in the regular season. I think the Steelers win this one. I would agree. It's a little bit closer than everybody expects. I think they win a close game. But, yeah, this is nothing new. I mean, I think the Browns are going to be better than what people are ready for. I think they're going to have a decent season. It's still going to be losing, yes, but it's going to definitely be a step up. All right, the next one, Cowboys taking on the Panthers. It's going to be Dak versus Cam. I like this matchup. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to take the Cowboys in this one.
I'm going the opposite way. I think the Panthers take this. I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to recreate the magic they had 2 years ago. I think last year kind of showed us what they actually are, and that Dak isn't quite the quarterback that everybody thought he was in his rookie year. Cam Newton will overtake this game and end up winning it for the Panthers, and they squeak out of there with a probably 7-point win.
All right. You got the next one, buddy.
All right, well, let's look at this. Seahawks versus Broncos.
Super Bowl 48.
Super Bowl 48. Quite different on both sides of the ball now.
This game's going to be ugly.
I honestly believe the Broncos end up winning a very, very defensive game. They score twice on defense, most likely strip sacks by Chubb and Von Miller, and they walk out with a close 3-point win.
I totally agree, but I imagine it being 10-7, something like that. Even lower scoring than you predicted.
I think it's going to be like a 17-14 game. It's going to be very low scoring. Yeah. So,
this is a divisional matchup. I always love those in week one. It's going to be the Chiefs heading to LA to play the Chargers.
The Superchargers.
Here's what I got to say. The Chiefs will always start hot. They always start really good. I think they're going to win this one. I think Mahomes is going to have like 3 touchdowns. Chiefs going to beat the Chargers.
I don't believe that is going to be something that happens. I think that the Chargers have gotten consistently better as they've gone along. The Chiefs, I believe, have taken another step back. They got rid of their best defensive player in Marcus Peters. How do you trade what could possibly be looked at as legitimately one of the best cover corners in the league for just a 6th-round pick in 2018, a 4th-round pick, and a 2nd-round pick in 19? Like, what are you doing? What are you doing? That defense is going to get worse. The offense is going to go through growing pains because Patrick Mahomes is going to throw at least 17 interceptions this year. I think his game this Sunday, he throws at least 3. And the Chargers walk out with a 10-point win.
Okay. I like it. We got some differing opinions in these picks. I like it.
Let's roll into Redskins versus the Cardinals. Both teams, new quarterbacks at the helm. Good old Alex Smith moves from Kansas City to Washington. The Cardinals, I don't even know, honestly, who they're going to start this week. Do you?
Yeah, I have no idea. I don't even think they know.
Let's check this out. I know they drafted Josh Rosen in
I
the
think it might be
offseason.
Bradford. I think they're starting Bradford.
Oh yeah, that's right. They had Bradford too. So yeah, that would make sense. Start good old Sam Bradford over Josh Rosen. That makes sense.
Wait for him to get hurt and then start Rosen.
Yeah, give Rosen some time to figure it out. I still don't think that the Cardinals will be anything worth a crap this year, and the Redskins will let Adrian Peterson take the game over for him. He was announced as their starter today, even though he's only been in camp for like a week and a half, 2 weeks.
Boy. So I'm sorry, you kind of cut out there. Who do you have for this
I have
one?
the Redskins. I think the Redskins take over the game, running the ball with Adrian Peterson, and I just don't think the Cardinals will be able to score.
I think it's the opposite. I don't know. The Washington doesn't. I don't think they're going to be a very good team. I think the Cardinals are going to win this one in a close one, but I think Cardinals are going to get it behind Sam Bradford throwing the football. Believe it or not. I mean, enjoy it while it lasts. He'll get hurt in a couple of weeks, and you'll start your rookie. It's sad to make that joke, but you know it's true. So moving along, another divisional matchup, one of the best rivalries in the NFL. The Bears playing the Pack, playing in Green Bay. And Aaron Rodgers is just going to be, instead of using a towel, he's going to wipe his sweat with $100 bills for this game. I don't think the Bears stand a chance, even with Khalil Mack, who they just got a week ago. We'll save that for the end of predictions, and we'll talk about one of the dumbest trades. Yeah, Packers win this one easily.
I believe so too. I think the Packers do, but the only thing that worries me is that offensive line. We'll see what happens. The Bears now have quite a pass rush with both Khalil Mack and names getting out of my damn head right now. But either way, that offensive line has to produce. They have to have production to
That's
keep
very
Aaron
true,
Rodgers clean. You have to keep him clean. That dude gets hit, he's liable to break a collarbone again. And then you're out. And then you're done. Especially one that had to be repaired the way it did this time with surgery. Like, that just weakens the bone up there.
Yeah.
So, barring a Khalil Mack savage crushing, I think that the Packers walk away with this. I don't think Mitch Trubisky is going to be quite as apt, or I don't think he's going to be able to get them to a win in this game.
I think, I do think the Bears are trending upward with Jordan Howard, with Trubisky, with getting Khalil Mack, but yeah, there's just not enough there yet.
Yeah, I agree.
So let's move it down to the final two games, the Monday night games, Brent.
Oh boy, we got the New York Jets versus the Detroit Lions. The Jets are going to be starting Sam Darnold.
I figured.
And Lions, yeah, I mean that he performed in the performed in the preseason. I can't talk today now. Apparently,
You're losing. We're coming to the end of the show.
Dogs running around. I'm just going. It's all going nuts right now. So, yeah, it's one of those things, man. Like, I think that the Jets are going to be they're going to shock some people this year. I think they're going to be better than expected. I think Todd Bowles will be able to get that team up and going. But I still think Stafford and the Lions take this game. Close one, but they'll pull it out with a late field goal.
Yeah, I agree. I think that much like the Bears, I think the Jets are heading in the right direction. I think Sam Darnold absolutely, is their future. But always shines through in the end. And yeah, I agree that the Lions will win that one. And it should be a fun game. I think the Lions will win. And the last pick of the week, the final Monday night game, Rams taking on the Raiders. To me, this one seems like an easy pick. I got to go with the Rams. They win this one easily.
The Rams are going to absolutely just murder the Raiders.
The Rams
offensively, they're going to be able to do whatever they want. Defensively, I don't think that Carr is going to even complete half of his passes. So,
yeah, the Rams are my pick to. I I think they're going to go deep in the playoffs. I think they'll be in the NFC Championship game this year. So
they don't really have an edge rusher, which kind of worries me. But at the same time, you've got both Aaron Donald and Ndamukong Suh right up the middle that you almost have to double team both of them all the time.
And Michael Bennett.
I don't think Michael Bennett's quite as good as everybody's expecting him. I thought Michael Bennett went to the Eagles.
No, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, because he gotten some crap over the Martellus Bennett thing, remember?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, he's getting arraigned on that. He apparently shoved a disabled woman or something like that to get on the field at the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Classy move, Michael Bennett.
But yeah, so that's it for the NFL picks. And I think that's going to be it for tonight's show. Thanks so much, Brent, for filling in for us again.
Of course.
Yep, love having you on. So, yes, if you want to get the show, you can get it on iTunes, pretty much anywhere you get your podcasts. You can also head over to loudandopinionated.com, find the show there. You can also read the blog, has a bunch of different articles up there. And you can follow us on social media at Loud Opinionated on Twitter, and you can like the page on Facebook. And, leave some comments. Do you agree with the picks that we make? No? Let us know.
Yeah.
Thumbs down the video if you don't like it. I don't care. Click the subscribe button if you're watching this on YouTube. Click the bell if you're on YouTube so you get notified when the videos go live. And, thanks so much, Brent. And because it's Brent, watch some sports.
Nerd.